It's 3:15, and that means it's time for
The Real Deal with Bill McNeil.
That's right. Welcome once again to The Real Deal with Bill McNeil. I'm your host, Bill McNeil, and you're probably wondering exactly what is the real deal today.
Hey, good question.
The Milestone revival at DC Comics has been in the works. I think they've announced it a couple of times since 2016, I think was the first time. Been waiting for it. Obviously, we did get that Milestone, Zero digital comic, quite a bit back. I think it might have been like 6 months ago. But we finally have hard details. They beefed up that original Zero issue to kind of debut these new 3 launches. We've got the first 3 digital first comics coming from Milestone. We know the creative teams. We know the characters. And here to talk with me about this is a man that has some history with Milestone himself, Jermaine Dargan. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Wes. How are you today?
I'm doing great. So for people that maybe haven't been with the channel for the long haul and don't know your bona fides as far as Milestone goes, what was your relationship with Milestone?
So my relationship with Milestone was, first I started as a fan, was a huge fan of a lot of talents that were involved. And one day I saw an ad in the back of the, I think it was Icon #2. That's how well I remember it, where they had advertising that you were looking for interns in the editorial department. So of course, the very next day I made sure to call and became involved with the editorial department as an intern. And then I guess they liked me enough that when I left for a bit, I got a call back from Joseph Illich, who is now I believe is the executive editor or editor-in-chief over at Heavy Metal. Gave me a call back to invite me to become a part of the editorial department. And so I worked there for a year or two as an editorial assistant at the editorial department under Matt Wayne, who some of you may recognize, whose name you may recognize from some stuff over at DC, particularly. I believe he was on Static Shock, but definitely Justice League Unlimited. And Jacqueline Ching, who I've not heard from a bit, but who was a lovely assistant editor over the time. But basically, I worked in the editorial department at Milestone. Had the pleasure of seeing and helping to oversee the work of people like Mark Wright, Chris Cross, and John Paul Leon, and so many others. And I'm very proud of that association in the comics industry.
Absolutely.
That's my one and only professional work.
You've been waiting for this to happen. We've talked about it here on the channel a couple of times. I'm definitely going to link that here in the video if people want to go back and view that. We had some ideas about who our dream creators would be at Milestone for the relaunch, but now we have the real names. We got a couple of them right, but for the most part, we got some new talents and some older talents. What do you think about them launching this DC Digital first before we get into the names?
Oh, you start with the hard thing first. So I'll say this. So I guess my only 2 concerns about that is that I'm willing to wait till May, being a print customer, but I think listening to you and Perch talk about it, particularly Perch's video talking about the whole print versus digital thing, I don't think it's going to hurt them, but I think they could have been helped by having a day and date for both print and digital, them both coming out at the same time. I think it's 2 different customers, and for me, even for this video, I was tempted to buy the digital copy of the the Milestone Returns Infinite Edition, just to get a better look at it. And man, I stopped cold at $4.99. I'm like, I'm not spending $4.99 for a comic, a format that I do not enjoy in the first place. So I think they probably will get some people who are interested on the print end. And maybe those print customers won't do it. They may just do the digital and go through with that. But for me, I'm not a fan of that particular approach. I think it should have been print and digital available at the same time. And I'm hoping that $4.99 price point doesn't end up being the norm for when the monthlies come out. But yeah, but I mean, for those who are into digital, we'll see. You know how I feel about that. Well, you know how I feel about that $4.99 price point. For me, that's when I say I think I'm out of new comics at that point. So yeah, we'll see.
Hey, something that we all have to kind of keep an eye on, and I definitely think digital has a future as far as comic books. I do not think it has a future as far as individual sales. For the most part, it needs to be part of a subscription. But that, my friend, is for another video on another day. So let's get into some of these creative teams. We knew the big character that they've been talking about. It's going to be essentially the flagship character is going to be Static. So we're getting a Static series. We're also going to get Icon and Rocket, which is kind of their version of Superman team up book, and we're getting the Hardware season 1. So Static, let's talk about that one. That's kind of the flagship character. That's one that's supposedly got the movie deal like kind of in development. This was going to be written by Vita Ayala. We are going to get some involvement from Chris Cross, one of the creators we talked about. We were hoping would be involved with this. He's going to be doing layouts, but the finished art is going to be from Nicholas Draper Ivy. I saw the preview art, not my favorite art that I've ever seen. Obviously, we'll have to get a good look at the entire issue. What do you think about Vita Ayala on Static?
And Vita Ayala, I'm not familiar with. Now I know that I tried to look her up a little bit, and I know she's worked in the Future State Batman. I think the next Batman, it seems like she was one of the writers on those. So I'm not real familiar with her work, but I think that what I like about the creative teams in general, and this particular team in general, is that I think it's smart. And what I mean by smart is that when I was looking at the preview art for Static, I like the fact that Chris Cross is doing the layouts. It's definitely an approach I would have taken about like having basically a good pacing artist, if you will. And I think with Nicholas Draper, I think he has a style that basically is a modern style. It's something that looks like, for lack of a better word, kids of today would be interested and attracted.
It's kid friendly.
It looks like it's kid friendly. It's even teen friendly. I even think it's digital friendly. I think it's indie friendly. So I like that a lot. Kerry Randolph doing the covers. I can't speak to Vita Ayala because I'm not real familiar with her work, but if they put her on the Batman title at some point, I think that's promising.
Well, she was doing she was doing the Batgirls backup story, I believe was what she did on the Batman in Future State.
So how was it? Because honestly, at $7.99, I couldn't check her out. So.
I was not impressed with most of the backup stories, and I wasn't impressed with that one. I will say this. In last year's Wonder Woman 750, she wrote without a shadow of a doubt the best story in that comic book. It was like a 5-star story, but it was only 10 pages. When I've read her on ongoing titles, I don't particularly like her style as far as writing heroes. But this is a younger character. Perhaps that will be more in her wheelhouse. But I haven't been completely impressed, with some of her work, like on obviously we've got her working on New Mutants right now. She did an issue of, what was the one? Did she do Marauders? I think she did an issue of Marauders. And she also worked at Valiant Comics. She was doing that, she was doing the Launch Out series on, can't remember the name of the character right now. But I like
that's
her
okay. Yeah, like I said, for me, she has not been on my radar. I haven't come across her work. So I'm more typically with comics. I'm more of an artist guy than necessarily a writer. Even though I write, it's like what really gets me drawn to the comic first is the art. Like I said, I'm willing to give her a shot. I think Static is a well put together package. I think it works. I've heard from people who are more industry insiders. A lot of people haven't been too kind about what they think the Milestone output's going to be. It hasn't necessarily been like thumbs up or even like, encouraging. But I mean, I think for the audience they're going after, it's a good looking book. So it just comes down to when it comes out and just see how it plays. I'm not so much wrapped up in the whole thing of like, they moved it from the Big Bang thing with the whole gangbang thing to the whole Black Lives Matter protest. People weren't happy about how most of the characters got their powers the first time around, and the fact that people aren't happy about how to get the powers the second time around doesn't really bother me too much. But like I say, the proof is in the pudding with her. We'll have to see. But it sounds like she's no Eve Ewing, according to what you just described.
No, I think Eve Ewing would have been a better choice. She's kind of doing her own independent stuff. And the Valiant character I was talking about was Livewire, one of my favorite characters over at Valiant, but I haven't been reading Valiant for a while. Now, the next series is the one that I anticipated I would be the most interested in, but I'm a little bit hesitant now. We've got Icon and Rocket, written by Reginald Hudlin with Leon Chills, art by Doug Braithwaite. I like Doug Braithwaite as an artist. I think he's going to do a great job on this. I think Rocket is a very interesting character within the world that he's in. I think he can do a lot of cool stuff with like a kind of an ultra conservative character within that universe. But the Icon, that Reginald Hudlin wrote in that, Marvel Rebirth kind of style digital comic did not feel like the Icon I was expecting.
Well, and that's the case for both characters. I think Icon and Rocket has the potential to be the weakest of the three titles, and I think it's precisely because of that. It's the voice. It's the voices of the characters. I agree with you with Doug Braithwaite. Doug Braithwaite is not one of my favorite artists. I don't really collect his work, but he is solid, and he has a fan base and a following. So I don't think, for me, and even from the preview pages I saw, I like this. So I might become a Doug Braithwaite fan after this. But I think the problem with that title is going to be the writing. I mean, just in those 2 or 3 pages alone from the Milestone Returns 0, it was just like these are not these characters. These are not even close to these characters. I don't see what they were trying to get at, what they were trying to do. Now, I didn't go back to look at the 0 issue to see if who now appears to be the co-writer on this, Leon Chills, who, from the little bit of research that I did, apparently is maybe setting himself to become the Jeff Johns of the Milestone universe, because apparently he's Reggie Hudlin's assistant on a number of projects, and he's written, at least was a staff writer on one show, I think it was called Spinning Out. So again, this is going to be with the proof in the pudding. If his fingerprints weren't on those couple of pages in the 0 issue, there might be some hope for Icon and Rocket. But if he was helping Reggie out then with that one, I think of all the titles, this one's going to go down hard, and it's going to go down hard because of the writing. Because you remember we did the video comparing those couple of pages to a page or two from the original run with Dwayne McDuffie and Mark Bright, and it is immediately evident that no, these are not the same characters. This is not the same dynamic. This is not going to be anywhere near as interesting. And that's going to be the whole. And I think if any weakness of the whole Milestone line period is going to be, it's going to be not having sort of a singular or at least a fresh voice that basically has some originality to it that I think that Dwayne and a lot of the writers from the original Milestone brought to it. So we'll see, but I think Icon and Rocket just might be the weakest one of the bunch because of the writing. The Braithwaite from the stuff that I've seen, it's good stuff. So and the preview art looked really good too. So we'll see.
The disappointing thing is kind of with everything that's going on, in the world today, Icon and Rocket probably could have been the most important story. They could have done the most interesting things with it, but it feels like at least what we saw in the preview, the Reggie Hudlin kind of took the easy way out.
Yeah, exactly. They're too much on the same page, and that's the problem. And the thing is like they're really with the dynamic. If I was editing the book and I said, look, the dynamic is that there's a grudging respect. It's a grudging respect. It's like she clearly comes from a worldview, a certain world and worldview that is opposed to Icons. And the thing is that the whole beauty of that dynamic was that they can look at the same issue, have 2 different points of view that each had validity, but on some level, sometimes you had to go over the Icon's side about a certain thing, so Rocket had to learn from that and grow and evolve, and then sometimes Icon had to do another thing. And then when you put in the thing of Icon's age, there was always that underlying tension between Icon and Rocket, which was, how could you be around so long and do so little? That was always the underlying tension between them. The fact that she was the one who had to drag him into so much more of a public role to use his powers is something in and of itself. And so with like I said, not having read the book yet, only getting that 3-page preview, it seems like we're operating not even to where they got to, like in sort of this grudging respect to the title itself, which still left a lot of room for growth and development. It's kind of like they're on the same page and they're pushing an agenda that they both agree on. And I think that just flies too much in the face of the high concept of the title, if you will. Yeah, we'll see, but I don't think it was the right call.
So I got to be honest with you. This next one is the one that I'm most anticipating, and I'm shocked about it. I didn't think I was going to be all that interested in the Hardware series, but I just read the 2-parter from Future State Aquaman from Brandon Thomas. It was fantastic. His series Excellence, that's been out for quite some time, has a lot of buzz about it. We also are getting art by Dennis Cowan and Bill Sienkiewicz. So it's probably going to be the best looking book, and it turns out it's got the writer I think that's probably the hottest right now.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say this one right here. This is the old head title. This is this is the old head title. And when I saw that Dennis Cowan and Bill, don't make me murder his name, Sienkiewicz, were doing art, I was like, okay. So that's basically for everybody who's probably about 40 and up to jump on this title. That's definitely the 40 and up hip hop crowd. That right there, I felt like was the smartest move in terms of the creative teams, only followed by Chris Cross and Nicholas Draper in terms of the art piece. Brandon Thomas, I just discovered excellence, and particularly because of they're doing a Kickstarter. Skybound's doing a Kickstarter to do a collected edition. So I went back and got some of the books that I could find, and really enjoyed Brandon's writing. And so honestly, and then looking at the cover, Mateus Mahanini really looks good so far, at least from that first cover. This is probably the tightest book of the three. I think I will be surprised if Hardware doesn't do well. Now, some people are going to call me after this and go, "What are you doing? What are you talking about?" Honestly, I think I would say even overall, even with the caveat about the writing team of Reginald Hudlin and Leon Chills on Icon, I think in terms of the creative teams, at least on paper, it makes a lot of sense. It's smart, and you at least get the sense they know who they're trying to sell the books to. The only thing that I think really deep six all of it is basically the digital strategy and the digital first strategy and the pricing. But yeah, Hardware season 1, that's looking tight. And I'm not a Hardware fan. I never collected or read any of the Hardware books from the original run, but I actually am interested in checking this out. And I'm not a fan of either artist, but I'm like, yeah, I think I'm gonna be reading this one.
I was surprised that of all the characters that they're rolling out, that was the one I was least interested in. But now that I see the creative team, I would have preferred Brandon Easton after his Aquaman series, which is essentially a team-up book with Andy Curry, the daughter of Aquaman and Mira, and essentially the son of Black Manta is the new Aquaman. He's kind of training her. I was like, that'd be a great, he gets team dynamics and interpersonal relationships. He would probably have been the writer for Icon and Rocket, but I will definitely take him on Hardware. I want to check it out and get to know the character.
Oh no, it like I said, from the art that I've seen so far, it looks for the audience that if they're going after, that's what they want to see. I mean, Bill Sienkiewicz, putting him and Dennis together, it's like for that style, it's very complimentary. It's very complimentary. And for people who like that style, I mean, I'm in this Facebook group now called I think it's Marvel Comics 19. What is it? Marvel Comics fans 1961 through 1986. And somebody just put a post up about Sienkiewicz and basically how his New Mutants run brought him into comics. It brought a lot of kids when I was growing up into his run on New Mutants is what got them into comics, much less the X-Men universe. So I mean, it's almost like it can't fail. So if it does, I'll be highly surprised, because I don't think for regardless of how you feel about those particular creators, it's smart as hell. It's smart as hell in terms of if you're trying to get people to pick up the book. So, like I said, I got a feeling someone's going to call me and be like, "Really, dude, really?" But honestly, when you're in this business, anytime you're in the creative business, what you realize is that if you like everything that you're putting out, that means there's something wrong. That means there's an audience that you're missing. There are groups that you're missing. You have to kind of take the whole thing in context. You have to realize that I'm going to be real interested to see who the editorial teams are behind this. The editorial team behind this, because I think if nothing else, even if it doesn't succeed for any reason, there is an intelligence behind this in terms of from the marketing piece. There's an intelligence behind it. And I think the only thing that really, and I think this is the case with a lot of projects in comics over the last few years, they're really being held back by the larger corporate strategy in terms of price and plays. The prices are not good for sampling this kind of stuff. And digital, I mean, when you look at print runs compared to digital, and digital's 10% of those print runs. That means you're automatically, whether you like it or not, you're Xing out 90% of the audience. And so we'll see. Will we all stick around for what is it? Will we all stick around for a month or two to pick up the print copy? We'll see. But like I said, this is smart. This is smart. Yeah, this is smart.
So
execution is everything, but it's smart.
Going to give it a chance. I'm kind of excited, mostly excited about the hardware series. Yep. But there you go. We've got Milestone is coming back. We know the first 3 titles. They will be out digital first, and they will come out in print. Are you excited? Is this what you've been waiting for? Is it going to live up to your expectations?
I have to admit, when I saw the creative teams, I got a little bit more excited than I did when Milestone Returns 0 came out. I was like, what are these guys doing? It's over. It's done. Oh, man. I didn't feel it was a good foot forward. But, like, looking at these teams, going to look at, and I was not familiar with most of them, going to look at their work and stuff like that, it has promise. It has real promise. I mean, usually when I try out a title, I go the first 3 issues to give them a shot, and I like I said, I like what I see so far. But as we know, execution is everything. So
absolutely,
we'll see. But I'm excited.
Right,
I think it has promise.
Jermaine, I appreciate you coming on here talking about Milestone once again. Is there anything else that you want to say before we kind of wrap this up?
I just want to say 2 things. I want to push 2 groups that I'm on social media because I've been having a blast on them. One is on Facebook called Marvel Comics Fans 1961 to 1986. And the other one is on Twitter. It's Heroes Punching 2099. What I like about both of these groups is it's just, with the exception of this very heated Stan Lee, Jack Kirby debate going on Marvel Comics Fans. But it's like, I like groups that they just put up covers and talk about their favorite characters, and you just talk about your love of comics. And with the exception of an occasional spat or two, these are, and this is for Pele, these are my safe spaces on social media. So,
all right, I appreciate it, and we'll talk to you again.
All right, thanks, Wes. Have a good one, everybody.